All right, on today's show, we've got Sam Abundez out of Chicago, Illinois. These guys have been crushing the game now for quite a few years. The story behind us connecting is we met actually at a coaching event. Sam and I both went and took a systems and ops training. Shout out to Jerry Green. If anybody's looking for some coaching, Jerry Green's a great guy. This is where we connected. So we're going to talk about him and his business, where he started, where he's at now, and we're also going to talk about the importance of networking, which is how we got here in the first place. So how you doing, Sam?
Well, thanks for asking. Yourself?
Good, man. Thank you for taking the time to come on and share some of your wisdom with the folks that pay attention to our show.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I appreciate the invite, Rick.
So, Sam, you're from Chicago. Tell me a little bit about your area.
So yeah, I mean, Chicago's a tough market. Chicago and the Chicagoland market is a tough market to get into. I've heard so many gurus and individuals that wholesale and even fix and flip that just flop, right? There's pretty big companies such as these big old this big company. Oh my good, I'm drawing a blank here.
We buy ugly houses and the people like that.
No, yeah, but it's a bigger one. It's not Grandview Homes, New Western. Sorry, geez.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, they came in here and they started off hot, but yeah, they like sizzled off, and then the market's hard to crack just because of a lot of the red tape, just because people go into, like, they pull data and like cash buyers and where the most deals are happening, and typically where in the Chicagoland market, not necessarily because there are deals in volumes does it mean that it's actually a good area to step into and pull data from. Like, we stay specific to certain zip codes because we know our backyard. But I mean, yeah, we started off in that market where it was just tough to get deals done, and we're out of it. We are essentially in different counties now, so we'll do specific Cook County zip codes, and then we'll do McHenry, Lake, and DuPage County data pool.
Got it. So you say we. Do you have partners involved in your business, and what's your business model?
Yep, absolutely. So essentially, it's Dane Laverty, my business partner, and he does a lot of the back end stuff. He also does a lot of the disposition. And as a company structure, it's 3 acquisition reps, myself included, as the lead. Then we have a transaction coordinator that does all the back end stuff with Dane Laverty as a disposition rep. And then we also have a VA in the background doing a lot of follow-ups with existing leads in our CRM system. And we use Salesforce Left Main that's geared towards wholesaling and fix and flip CRM, which is it's a monster, but it's not easy to tackle when you first start,
Right.
to say the least.
I
But
got it. Are you
mhm.
involved? Is your family involved in the business? You got wife, children, or anything like that?
So I have a wife. My kid is not involved. She doesn't want nothing to do with it as of
No.
yet. No, she's a teenager, growing up and doing her thing in cheer and school and all that other good stuff. But I give her some gems, and I try to just throw certain words out to her about real estate, single families and multi-units and rents and cash flow. But you know how it's not easy trying to convince a teenager to
Not yet.
understand real estate.
Not yet. It takes time, brother. My son is 29 years old, and he just got involved. He's been around it his whole life, but he
Mhm.
just came on full time working with us now about 2 years ago. And that so at 20, 26, 27 years old, after college, after all that stuff, you know.
Mhm.
But I'm sure she'll want to get involved when the time's right.
Hopefully,
So
yeah.
how did you? What was life like before real estate?
Yeah, I mean, I was essentially doing construction. I worked, I started off, you know, b- from the bottom of the bottom, seal coating, striping, patching, and asphalt, and then I actually got into concrete construction for the union, and I worked there for about 3 years. The last year of doing that, I actually got into real estate and was doing it part-time and essentially you know failing forward, trying to figure out the whole thing about wholesaling, and what it was to wholesale, because I essentially went to a backstory real quick. I went to Tony Robbins event, and that Tony Robbins event, they pitched a real estate course, and I'm dying to get in it, dying to figure it out. And I paid $1,000, went there, got closed for a $35,000 program to find out the word wholesaling, right? And what wholesaling the concept was. So yeah, I mean it was it just didn't feel right. They were just like go through the M. It's like what they're pitching now, because we get a lot of individuals that fill out forms and reach out, and they have properties that are listed or properties that are with agents, and that's how they were trying to teach us. And I was just like, this doesn't make sense. Hopped
Right.
into YouTube, found Max Maxwell, and I just literally started mimicking what he was doing, right? Driving for dollars, pulling lists, getting dialers, cold calling. I mean, again, I had zero sales experience 6 years ago. Like, I mean, I couldn't read you a script. I didn't know what a comp was. I didn't know what a single family, you know, I literally pivoted and did the whole the 180 on my career, right? And it wasn't easy, right? I mean, I wasn't too tech savvy. I didn't understand a ton of computer stuff. So, you know, just powering through and figuring it out, failing forward, with enough money spent, it'll hurt enough to figure it out.
Man, I think that's so powerful, brother. I come from construction as well. Maybe that's why we connected, man. I
So,
think that's so powerful because you're right. Coming from the construction world, I knew how to send in requests for material on a computer. That
mhm.
was it,
Yeah.
right? So when you say not understanding tech, I feel you, man, 100%. I think that's pretty cool, especially with what you're doing now. So how long did you kind of go with both before this is the main question that students and people around the country ask all the time. You were giving somebody advice. How long did you keep your side business until you made it your full-time business? When did you finally come out of your concrete job?
I mean that's a great question, Rick. So and again, I think a lot of this stuff is happening by fate, right? To me, honestly, to be honest
Right.
with you, because I got laid off in end of 19, right? The end of 19, I got
Okay.
laid off from the union, obviously getting unemployment, and then I got called back maybe in May. Yeah, it was like late May. So I can't work construction because I wear glasses. So I can't wear glasses while I'm on the site. I went and got my eyes checked for contacts. So it ended up happening that I had a torn retina, and I couldn't see
Really?
yeah, I couldn't see half of my eye up. So, they were like, hey, can I get my contacts to go to work? They're like, yeah, absolutely not. You got to go to the specialist. Like you're on the brink of losing your eye. I'm like, okay, like
All right.
really? Went
Curveball.
there, yeah, went there, got operated. Went there Wednesday, Thursday, got all the everything checked out. Friday, I was under the knife, got operated. Supposed to start work that Monday. I called the guy like, hey, listen, like, there's no way I'm gonna start. He's like, well, what happened? I said, hey, I went to the doctor, this, and that. He's like, oh, so that following week, I walked into this office building that we own now. Funny thing, we started renting it out at $500 a month. But I walked into this office with Dane Laverty, my business partner now,
Right.
and with a patch on my eye, not going to work. And I I literally was like, I like, dude, I have to make this work. Like, and then I let my union card expire. I didn't renew I didn't pay my dues. So it was like I burned when they say you burn your, the
Oh,
bridge, or burn the boat, I did that. So, it ended up being, that fate, I'd call it, right? Because I mean, how else would I have been here speaking to you if I was
right.
out still working construction, making a good living? Like, don't get me wrong, I was making 85, 95, $100,000 a year. But again,
Right.
like, I knew real estate was the way out of that race, right? And again, nothing wrong with working,
Right.
big ups to people that work for a living, and it just it was not easy doing it, right? I mean, because again, like, I put a post out, we were eating McChickens and peanut butter and cracker for like 6 months, Rick, like, no kidding, Dan and myself at this office, like, closing, barely closing. I think we closed the first that 2020 from August till January of that year. We closed 4 deals, and we were barely making like 7 grand, 6 grand on these transactions,
Really?
right? Yeah, and then we started with like the South Side properties, right? That everybody tries to tackle. And I mean, we built out a whole, you got to check water, you got to check violations, you got to check taxes, make sure the owner doesn't want an exorbitant amount of money for the property. And it
Right.
was just like it was a grind. It was a grind, it was a grind. And then essentially, you know, that year we did 4. The following year we did 24. The following year after that we did 40. Last year we did 80 transactions at 1.4, and then this year we're already paid. We surpassed the 1.4, and then we're pacing to probably hit $3 million in wholesale novations, sub twos, and some flips. We have some flips in there.
Nice, man. So you kind of evolved when you first started. So you didn't make your medical is what made the decision for you ultimately, but you just took
Yeah,
the opportunity and ran with it.
exactly. I kind of just went with it and said, man, this is where I'm planting my flag, and this is where, this is the hill I'm dying on. Because again, I was already $35,000 in debt when I paid this, because they swiped credit cards and they gave me, I mean, it was a whole
Go
I
to the back of the room. Go to the back of the room. Oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly, and close me out. And again, like now that I now that I see, I'm like I'm a closer, so I can get close fairly easy, right? Like I don't stop at stands in the mall because I know I'm gonna buy something. I don't like because if they hand me something like, oh yeah, yeah, I'm like, oh, okay, like I'll buy it. So that's what happened there. But again, I had the itch to go into real estate. And again, I was doing like fixes. I was essentially I started as a laborer for a cousin of mine that did multi units, right? And then I evolved a little bit. Like we were doing that over the winter, and I evolved a little bit to start taking a little bit more initiative and starting getting subcontractors in there. Then essentially they got the confidence in me and allowed me just to run a project from start to finish and hire subcontractors and then lease them out at that. I was leasing them out as well.
Right.
But I had the understanding and I knew real estate was the way to go, and I
Right.
started from the negative. So
Well, yeah,
um
start with 7 deal or yeah, seven. What was it? You said 4 deals in the first year. That's 28 G's, all the way up to you're shooting for 3.5. 4 years later, 3.5 million.
three and
Three,
a half
4 years later. That's impressive, man. That's it.
yeah.
That's impressive. So you talked briefly about the different strategies that you have, right? So you said a little bit about, and we won't get into the teaching what they are, but just the different exit strategies that you have. You said you have some flips, primarily wholesale. You're throwing in some novations and some subject twos. How important to you is the education on different ways to make money on real estate?
Yeah, I mean it's the bloodline of your business, right? I mean, because if you can only offer one option to an individual in a situation where they're looking to exit out of this property, and I forgot too, we're realtors as well, Rick. So we're licensed agents. We don't necessarily do a ton of retail, but we are agents as well, and that's another option that we do offer. But I think having that ability and this everybody probably knows who this guy is, Steve Trang. Essentially, he calls it optionality, right? And that word stuck with me. We actually jumped on a call with him for an hour, and kind of he was just elaborating on how that's important to have optionalities because if let's say um, John is calling, the seller and he says, "Yeah, I can offer you, 70,000 for your home," and they're like, "Hey, yeah, well, I can't do 70,000. There's a mortgage that's owed at 70,000, and I'm looking for XYZ."
Right.
Then us as a company having the ability to offer a secondary program, right, which is an ovation, we're able to cover their closing cost commissions, any repairs if the home needs some repairs, and then they're still able to get some money out of the transaction. Whereas opposed to
Right.
if I need to be at this number for an investor to buy it at this number, then it's not going to work for them, right? So it's
Right.
important. I mean, it's your bloodline of surviving this real estate evolution, right? Because I hear a lot of these guys, oh, all about novations, all about novations. Yeah, but we still do a fair amount of wholesaling and we make good spreads. I mean, we're averaging like 24,000 a deal in
Nice.
wholesale fees.
Nice. Yeah, you can't beat that. And plus it gives a better product or a better opportunity for your client. You know what I mean? They say it's about the people, and the people that get started in wholesaling, you want to chase the money, you want to chase the Lamborghini, you want to chase the lifestyle, right? You want to chase what you see online. But when you're sitting down with a seller and they're in trouble and you need to offer them a solution, it's a lot better to offer somebody 4 or 5 solutions that can fit and still create a win-win situation than it is to say, oh, I can't wholesale this, I'm out. Right.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome that you guys are doing that, because a lot of people don't. They focus on one trick pony and that's it. If they can't make it work with X, there's nothing else that they can offer. So the fact you must have invested a lot in yourself to be able to learn this stuff, especially to learn this so fast, right?
Yeah, honestly, yeah. I mean, we purchased the Brewer method, Eric Brewer's method, for the novations.
Right.
We also Jerry Green does a program with REI Sales Academy with John Martinez. We invested into that. Sub twos, we've kind of figured out just talking to individuals and figuring out how to structure these deals. Obviously,
Yep.
wholesaling. There's always nuggets that you can pick up from different individuals on how to, essentially get deals from wholesaling. But at the end of the day, it's not necessarily about wholesaling, right? It's about marketing. Can you market? Can you get deals, generate leads to come into your company via, mail, cold call, PPC, PPL? Like it's a marketing game at the end of the day, right? And it's hard to figure that out when you're first starting, because you're like, I want to wholesale. Like, yeah, everybody wants to wholesale, but it's like you definitely need marketing spend to be able to move this
Yeah.
thing along, to get.
I'm glad you hit on that. I'm glad you hit on that, because that's part of the reason we do this, is because there's so many people that think, they saw a video or an ad come by on Facebook and you can get involved with real estate with no money. And you can. There's ways that you can, there's ways to do that. I don't pitch that because I think it's not really truthful. I mean, you can get involved in real estate, being an assistant for somebody, or a driving for dollars person, learn how to bring deals to people that are buying and all that good stuff. But to build a business and to really get a handhold in the real estate world, you have to have some sort of spend. And at the beginning, if you don't have any capital, it's going to be time, and a lot of it, right? Your own time, your own this. And then as you start making income and start making money on deals, you can reinvest that into things that you can fire yourself from. Maybe you're not driving for dollars no more. Maybe somebody else is doing that or whatever.
Mhm.
But I'm glad you really hit on that, because there's a lot of people that don't really realize real estate is hard. Would you agree with that?
I 110% agree with that.
The
Because I was
upside,
dialing, Rick, I was dialing one off on phones, right? With printed out pieces of paper of vacant demo houses that are tax delinquent, and we
right?
would trace the numbers. Yeah, one off, and then call them, try to find out the other number. I mean, it was like we started literally from nothing. Right now we have all this fancy stuff and mailers and PPC and
Yeah.
dialers, but at one point that wasn't the case, right? I mean, and I
Yep.
think that's why I see this a little bit more easier now,
Yep.
because I remember 12 14-hour days just dialing one off on phones, trying to find the person. You found the person. Now let's find out if the property's, you know, eligible to get closed,
Right.
based on tax violations, mortgages.
That's
So
awesome, man. You went through the ringer, and that's what created all your success, man. Is because the majority of the people that get to that point, they quit.
yeah,
They quit because what they saw on Instagram wasn't reality, right?
yeah, no,
They
it's
didn't
the
see
truth.
sitting there with your cell phone. You know what I mean? That's awesome. So you're doing pretty good volume of deals right now. Let's talk about your marketing. Like, what would you say if you were talking to anybody and you were saying, "Hey, this is where we're at. This is our best marketing strategy in this market right now. What do you like best? What's bringing the best deals and the most of them?"
Here, Rick, let me rephrase that question for you. What ability do you have to spend on marketing, right? At the end of the
Yep.
day, that's what it is, right? And Carlos Reyes from the All In, essentially one quote that stuck out with me that when I went to their event was people, data, speed, right? If you
Yep.
can get some quality data, and if you can call and get these people on the phone and are able to lock them in, then you're gonna outperform everybody else. Like if you're first starting, like the easiest way and the least capital intensive is buying a list, skip tracing it with quality data, quality skip tracing, and just call. That's
Do you
like
have any
it,
skip tracing services that you recommend?
honestly, we've tried all of them. And the ones that, yeah, we've tried all of them. And the one that we've gotten the best, and again, I'm not an affiliate of them. I don't like, it's batch leads.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
they skip trace and their skip tracing is very accurate.
Okay.
Um, data, like we have authentic predictive data. So that, that's a whole nother story. But like if you guys can pull some data, there's plenty of guys out there on Instagram. Like Josh Chan has some pretty good data as well, and he just pulls it and he'll skip trace it. Like I don't, and again, I don't get any referrals from this guy.
Right.
I've seen people have success with pulling his data using his data, but
Yep.
you know, Josh Chan, he's got good data. There's another one, man. It's been such a while that I've used any data providers. Um, because we built out a scraper to actually pull data from public records at one point or another to find data. What was this? I can't even think of the name of it. Rick, if it comes up, I'll let you know. But
Sorry, a lot of people get the reason we're asking those is because a lot of times people get hung up in they try to get too caught in the weeds, right? We've pivoted over now for I don't know 6 months. Deal Machine actually does it all. And Deal Machine's been phenomenal data, and that for 150 bucks a month you can get all your Deal Machine stuff, your skip tracing, and your data, right? So we've just been using that for 6 months just because we found out it was all in one spot, man. But for a lot of people, it's very
simple.
easy. Yeah, it's simple, man. So you just get in there and type in what you want, and it spits out the data, and you send it over to your dialer, and then go from there.
Mhm.
How do you feel about so the in the world ever since COVID started, the word virtual wholesaling became a thing, right? When nobody could go do anything. Um, you do both local business, belly to belly, we call it, and you do business nationwide. Could you talk about the difference in both and what you would recommend to somebody brand new?
I mean, if you're brand new and you're able to, if you're able to actually get belly to belly, I think you'd have a lot more success than doing virtual. And that's just my personal opinion. I don't, I can't give you numbers and such, but we started as a company belly to belly and backyard wholesaling, right? And uh it's just a little bit less either capital intensive, because when you're virtually wholesaling, like you have to be able to record memorandums, you have to be able to get somebody out there to the property to put a lockbox, you're gonna have to be able to get somebody get out there and get pictures. Like and again, like newer wholesalers and newer investors that are starting, like they have a difficult time explaining this to sellers, right? And they're like, well, why do you need this? Well, why do you need that? Why is that going on? Like as opposed to like if somebody's belly to belly, like we mentioned, Rick, then it's a lot more personable and it's humanized. So people are more prone to be like, oh, okay, that's fine. I've seen this person, I've interacted with him, I've spoken to him. Like it's easier, in my opinion. Again, this is my opinion. It's easier to start off a relationship with the seller and be able to perform what you have to do, lockbox, pictures, walk people through in your backyard than it is virtually.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm with you, brother. I feel the same way. We've only done one person or one virtual deal ever, and we lost $250,000 on it. And that was a flip we did over in Indianapolis where I partnered up with the wrong individual, and it just didn't go well. I jumped at the shiny object because the numbers were bigger, and
Mhm.
got punched right in the mouth for 3 years. So
Right.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm big on the personal brand where we keep our family owned business right here in Northwest Ohio, and it's just easier that way when someone can pop into your office and have a conversation, or they see the people. My son and I have these TV commercials. They see the people on the TV commercials, and the same two individuals are sitting in their living room. It just changes the game that much better. Changes the conversation. So I think that's pretty cool. Um, you guys rehab as well. What's that part of your business look like?
We do. So here, we had a horror story as well for rehab at the first one, right? Property we got for 90,000. I don't know, we probably rehabbed the house like completely, like floors, bathrooms, painting, like everything twice, maybe three times. Yeah, I know. Um, we bought it for 90, put probably, I don't know, 100 and some change into it. Mind you, this is us starting, back in 21. And we sold it for 295, and I think we netted like 3 grand or something like that. But it was the most frustrating. And I didn't do a flip for another, or we didn't do as a company a flip for like another year and a half. Like it was just left that bad of a taste in my mouth. So we do some flips now, Rick, but how we do it essentially, since we're wholesaling, we source these deals,
Yep.
we'll lock something in place. The numbers make sense to joint venture with a contractor, a reputable contractor at that, and a person that's trustworthy. That's important, right? Because you run into so many people that are constantly telling you that they do this, they do that, and then at the end of the day, it's night and day.
Yep.
So we essentially delegate all the rehab to the general contractor slash joint venture partner. They take it from start to finish. They put in the capital, they put in the material, and then essentially they finish off the project, put it on the MLS. We'll obviously cover all costs from holding to purchase, rehab and rehab and material costs, and then we'll split the profit. We did one with them, 1719 Gilead. We split like 34K. They kept 34, we kept 34. And then they went like
Nice.
nothing, like literally on a handshake. Like literally on a handshake. Yeah, great. You know, and again, these guys are reputable. They've been doing, fix and flips and Airbnbs for a while. And again, I met them at a networking event, right? So it's important to network. And then essentially we partnered up, and then we have another one going on right now that, God willing, we'll do well on as well.
Nice. So you guys cover all the costs. The contractors providing the labor.
So here we covered the purchase. So we use hard money. I have a hard money line that we use to buy. So we cover the 10% plus the closing, right?
Okay.
And then we use Gator funding for that. So somebody will lend us, let's call it 20 grand.
Yep.
We take down the property, and then the joint venture partner, the contractor, essentially provides material and labor up front, finishes the project, they get their money back upon closing, then we split the profit, whatever remainder profit there is.
So it's almost like a second private lender or something to handle the expenses after the purchase is done. I got you.
And that keeps them honest with material, it keeps them honest with labor, right? It just keeps them honest as well. It's kind of like a safety net for us, right? We know they're not gonna go past budget and past the time, right? Because they're also incentivized to actually get get this project done in time and under budget to be able to profit on the back end, because we do come up with an initial rehab cost up front.
Okay. So
Yeah,
they're incentivized because they're getting the same amount of money you are.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome, man. It's genius. And you don't have to deal with the day-to-day of the contractors.
And you can't, honestly, when you're running a wholesaling company, and that's what we try to do for a while, and then it's like it's either you're paying attention to your wholesaling company or you're paying attention to the rehab, and you
Right.
can't pay attention to both.
Right.
Right? 'Cause they're both time intensive. They're both attention intensive. Like you have to be able to be on a day to day, and you do it right. I think you do a fair amount of flips, Rick.
Yep.
So you can testify to that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. With the wholesale, we don't really wholesale much anymore. We used to, not a high number. We were never, I fell into rehabbing on accident because I didn't know wholesaling until 5 years after I was already doing the business. And coming from construction like you, we just started off rehabbing. Now it wasn't pretty. It wasn't smooth. It wasn't a great experience. We didn't ever make any money. But once we learned what wholesaling was, that what wholesaling taught us was how to get better deals, how to find better value deals. We still kept rehabbing, but the skills of wholesaling is what helped us get better numbers and better deals to rehab. So I think that's awesome, man. What's your deal flow look like now? You were briefly talking about it before we started this. What tell the people what your deal flow looks like now, like on a monthly basis.
Yeah, so the last 3 months we've actually grossed 200,000 plus each of the last 3 months with between 8 to 12 deals, right? Closing, whether that's, wholesaling, novations, sub twos, not many retails, but just based on those exit strategies, we've actually grossed that about 200K plus these last 3 months. And then this month we're already pacing to do the same. Uh, we're looking to close another 10 deals this month. We're at 9 uh, for the month. We're looking to hit that 10 mark to, and I think we might crack that 300,000 mark. And again, none of this was, in my head, I came into the door saying it was 100,000 a month. Like now it's like, it's a little bit mind blowing, right? That you can actually generate, such volume of money in a short period of time that it's like, you know, I'm grateful, but it's like it's almost mind blowing, honestly, Rick. To be
There's,
honest.
there's nothing wrong with being proud of that, man. You're a very humble guy, and there's nothing wrong because it helps people see the reality of it. Yeah, you can get to making two, three, four, whatever you want a month, but it started at 28,000 a year, right? So it's like that.
Yeah.
That's the reality of it, man. You just be proud of that. So let's talk about the marketing strategies you're using. What are you doing to generate that amount of deals per month?
So the marketing that we're doing to generate those amounts of deals, essentially, it's cold calling. We have a cold calling service out of Colombia, Lamasu Leads, and I am affiliated with them. So, Lamasu Leads, and they're great. Professional. Scott Morris, CEO, is awesome, runs a tight ship. It's a good service. You know, I don't endorse many services, to be honest with you. And this guy, he's been a game changer for us. We've been with him for about going on 4 years now. And the reason why
Nice.
we haven't went anywhere apart from the great service that he provides, they do Spanish speaking, right? So we have it's a Hispanic area where we target in Cook County and in Lake County. And some do Page, some McHenry, but for the most part, Lake and Cook County. And that just gives us the edge, Rick. Like, right?
Right.
You have a bunch of cold calling services out of the Egypt, Philippines, everywhere else. Colombia, essentially, they speak Spanish. So that's our edge. And we've closed a fair amount of Spanish speaking deals. Or I've closed because I'm the only Spanish speaker in the office that can close deals. Um, so that's one marketing strategy. We do mailers. So
Okay.
essentially, our predictive data gives us mailing addresses and forwarding addresses. And then we'll do bulk mail with check mailers from REI Mail Print.
Okay.
So it's a soft offer that essentially a homeowner would pop open and it says, pending a visual inspection, the soft offer 180,000. They'll
Right.
call in, we'll essentially work the process, our sales process, and then get to the, yes or no. Essentially, how Jerry Green and the REI sales program essentially teaches you. Then we also have PPC leads that come in. These are for nationwide, and we do get some backyard as well. So we
Right.
work that way. PPL, like paid per lead, we have that service as well. And then obviously referrals, right? Belly to belly referrals is we just closed one. We sold a church to a pastor. We made 114,000 on it.
Nice.
That was just
That
on a referral, literally.
you were able to bring it in. You brought the deal in, and then knew someone to sell it to.
So Dane brought it in, right?
Okay.
Dane brought it in. We put up 5,000 hard cash, right?
Yeah.
It was a non-for-profit selling it, and then we the Dane's point of contact got the board to agree to sell it. So Dane was showing it. Quick story. Dane was showing it at one day. The pastor walked across, was like, "Hey, I own this church. We've been trying to buy this building for 4 years. Like, what are you guys doing with it? Oh, we're looking to sell it." but the guy spoke Spanish. So he brought him into the office, right? He brought him into the office. Same thing, belly to belly, right? What do you guys do? How long you guys been here? Who are you? You know, do you have some business cards? Are you, are you guys known? So, you know, just conversating, giving them referrals, addressing, you know, any concerns that he might have.
Yep.
Um, you know, yeah, we're Better Business Bureau accredited. You can reach out to here. You can call these individuals. Yeah, and then, you know, one thing led to another, and then we closed out the deal. We
Power of
assigned it to them.
the local brand.
The local brand, man. You know, the local brand.
Yeah, I think that's awesome, man. So where do you see where are you taking the business? What's next?
Honestly, Rick, to be honest with you, I mean, we need to be able to systematize the business a lot more efficient, right? Because we like we're running, right? We're running, we're going, but at the same time, like we'll trip up and you know something to happen, right? Where we have too many deals. Like this is a good example. Maybe 2 months ago, we had about 38 deals in the pipeline, right? It was one
Yeah.
disposition rep, which is Dane Laverty, our business partner, and then one transaction coordinator. They had so much things going on with these transactions that they couldn't pop them out of the back end, right? We're constantly feeding them and they're not able to pop them out. So like we're again, it's a learning process. Like nobody runs a perfect ship. I don't care how many, you know, reels or clips or anything that you see out there. Like there's always a system breakdown one way or another.
Yep.
So
100%.
so we're hiring out for another transaction coordinator, and then we're hiring out for another disposition. I think we have enough reps up front to be able to generate contracts and push deals out.
Yep.
It just at the back end stuff, because again, we're dealing with properties that are in probate, you know, we're dealing with properties that are in pre-foreclosure, we're dealing with properties that are inherited, we need trust documents, we need this document. So it's like it's a process. Like, you know, you do like everybody does see the final close funded, but the back end of it, it's a fair amount of work that's done, you know, and you know we've delegated it, but we need more delegation now and systematize and build things out a little bit more.
Seems like you and your partner are a lot like us as far as we call it ready, shoot, aim, right? Get out there, get out, yeah, pull the trigger and then aim it after you're fit, yeah, after you
Yeah,
pull the trigger where it's gonna go. But
yeah,
hey, that's there's one thing that I can say, man, is people that take action and most people that end up with success in this business at all took imperfect action for a long time because a long time, and it sounds like what you did. Now, are you and your partner? You guys started this together, right?
we did. Yeah,
Did I meet him at the event?
met Dane. Yeah, you met
Okay.
Dane.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you guys have been through the ringer from the beginning all the way to now, man. But that's impressive. You
Yeah,
know,
thank you.
how's your wife feel about the business? Is she involved at all?
No, no, no. I mean, not she does she works, she codes, but no, she doesn't, she's not involved. The thing is it's again, like if it's a lot harder when a partner is not supporting what you're trying to accomplish and do, because this is time intensive, capital intensive, it's mentally intensive. Like people see all the gold, like the shiny objects of everything that's being done, but you know it's the truth, Rick. Like it in the back end, it's you know it's long hours. You know it's understanding what you're trying to accomplish. The spouse and the significant other have to understand the goal. You know, and there's got to be a lot of reassurance and um, a lot of reinforcement
Yeah. Yeah.
between, because I'm sure Rick, you can attest to this, man. Especially you know been doing it for such a long time. That's you know that's big part of success.
Personal growth doesn't stop no matter what.
But
I'm an old man. I'm 46 years old, and it doesn't stop because the second you quit growing, everything else will stop too. And that's the first thing is people, especially the younger generations, they seem like they chase the word success, right? They chase the word success, but then you never really find that, right? So it's more a lot what we've evolved into, and we did too. When we first got started, man, I wanted to quit my job, make $1 million, have this, have that, yada, yada, yada. And then it evolves and you realize, like, man, this sucks. Now we chase lifestyle, right? The dollar amount is cool, but it's
Yep.
more about, am I healthy? Am I happy? Do we enjoy what we do? Is the family taken care of? Right? Are we producing a credible service, operating on integrity, creating win-win situations, just like Jerry said, win-win or no deal, things like that. I think that's the important part of this business, man. And for what you guys have started to where you are now is number one, impressive. I think that's really cool. And number two, there's nowhere but up to go. You know what I mean? There's nowhere but up to go. So what would you say your 2025? What's your goal for 2025? You thought about that far yet? I know it's not Q4 yet.
Oh, well, so we will be down in Q5. I think I'm sorry, Q4, but I think for 2025, I think every year has been our goal to double revenue, right? So
Okay.
essentially, if we do, crack this 3 million, obviously we're gonna try to crack that 6 million, and then just kind of double revenue every year. But again, Rick, like you guys, like you made a great point. Like you're chasing lifestyle, you're chasing make sure family's okay. Like we're actually, trying to build this out so we can step out of it and essentially start building generational wealth through rentals. Dane Laverty, my partner, has two four 3 units. I own my personal residence now that I bought from the company. I'm working on we own a couple buy and hold properties ourselves. We own this building that we stay in now. Like, we're slowly trying to pivot to the exact same thing that you guys are doing, essentially holding the properties and building some wealth and building some cash flow, because that's essentially how you're going to be able to live a lifestyle that you can control somewhat.
Keep the best and flip the rest. That's what we say.
That's a
Keep,
good saying.
keep the best and flip the rest. And I'll tell you what, man, with the times that we've gone into now, there's nothing more but opportunities coming along the way, man. With all these value increases, we just got a letter in the mail yesterday for all of our portfolio that all the values are increasing. Well, what does that mean? Taxes are going to increase. Well, what does that mean? As most people freak out by that. We look at it like an opportunity because taxes are going to increase. What does that mean to all the mom and pop real estate investors that haven't raised their taxes over all the years?
Mhm.
Right? They're going to be wanting to sell because they never made the tax increases to make it match up with what the taxes are, or they didn't make the rental
Right.
increase to line up to where the taxes are going to be. And people like that are the ones that are like, well, I'm just going to go ahead and cash out now, right? And causes an opportunity for people like you and I, man. I think that's so we'll see where it goes. So what would you give any word of advice at any level of investor, anything you can think of? If you were to throw out something to somebody watching this or just getting done watching the podcast, what would you tell somebody that's just getting started in real estate? What would you tell them?
It's gonna sound a little cliche, but just stay consistent
Yeah.
and keep the mindset, right? That it will happen, right? It took me 8 months to get my first deal. When I
Yep.
first started wholesaling, it took me 8 months.
Okay.
So stay consistent, keep the mindset that it's gonna happen, and just with all your effort, go towards that one goal, right? Of being consistent, because consistency is gonna bring you results at the end of the day.
You're darn right. And before we wrap this, I forgot. I totally skimmed over something, and you just reminded me. Thank you for that. The power, your connections that you've met along the way. You've talked about different events, different things, and all that. Talk about the power of surrounding yourself around other people that are like-minded, that are in the industry of what you're doing. Talk about that for a second.
So people that are like-minded and you run into in these events, they want to see you succeed, because if you're showing up to their events, they have, and it's not a benefit to them, but they get something out of you winning, right? Because they're counting on you to win. And the same way, when you're winning, somebody else is counting on you to win because they want to win. So
Yep.
it's a funny thing. I was talking to Carlos Reyes. He pulled me out of a IG live, and we were just kind of back and forth, right? And he's like, yeah, he's like, people are counting on you to win,
Yeah.
right? And based on that, you should always be consistent in what you're doing, right? To succeed, to better yourself, to educate yourself. Because again, somebody's always counting on you, whether that's your family, your daughter, your wife, your business partners. you know, people that see you on social media, right? That's it. They're counting on you to win.
Yeah, I think that's really important, man. And that's good stuff. That's how we connected, man. You
Yes,
know,
sir.
I think you just never know. A lot of times you go to the event, no matter what the event is, and I'm part of the REI Sales Academy as well. It was
Nice.
back when John Martinez had it still, but great academy. Jerry's doing phenomenal things with that.
Mhm.
But half the time going to these events, yeah, you take away the information you're going to learn, but it's also about who's the hand, whose hand you're going to shake while you're at the event. You know what I mean? Who's going through something that maybe you're on your day, you know, you're in your third year and I'm on my year one. And I can go to you and we're talking. I'm like, man, I'm going through this. And you're like, oh, well, I've been there. Here's what we did to get through that. You know what I mean? That's the importance of, you know, being around people that have been on the journey that can help. You know what I mean? Real estate doesn't change. It doesn't matter what the numbers change from Chicago to Toledo and all that stuff. The
Mhm.
numbers change, the areas change, the geographic changes, but the fundamentals don't change anywhere. It doesn't matter. Find a deal, solve a problem, and exit it at one point, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I think it's very impressive what you guys have done, man. And I cheer you on. I think it's awesome.
Nice.
We are in a very affordable market. So people that are doing what you're doing in a market like Chicago and the areas where the numbers are like 5 times more than where we're at, it impresses the hell out of me because you know it proves that fundamentals don't change. You know,
Real estate is real estate no matter where you go.
that's it, man. That's it. So I appreciate you taking the time, brother. And I will, you know, before we go, where can people find you at? I know you're building a social media presence now. Talk about that for a second.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, you know, I do drop content on Instagram, Samuel Abundez.rei, Samuel Abundez.rei, and then Samuel Abundez Jr. on Facebook. And I'm typically more active on those platforms. And again, if you guys have any questions, you know, you guys have deals here in Chicago that you guys run across, you know, feel free to reach out. I'll help you guys get them through the finish line. And you know, any questions I might be able to answer, feel free to reach back out.
Guys, if you didn't hear what he just said, if you have deals and you're over in the Midwest, anywhere near Chicago, I know a lot of people tend to like to market the Illinois areas. He just said he's welcome to help you get him to the finish line. And what that means is bring value, right? If you're just building a buyer's list, you're just getting started and you have a deal, you got a guy right in front of you that's willing to help you get to the finish line, and it'll benefit you both monetarily, right? So bring value. Feel free to ask questions, myself or Sam as well. And we look forward to seeing you on the next one.
Rick, I
Thanks, Sam.
appreciate the invite. Thank you, sir.
Got it, brother.
Question it. All right.